Good morning, afternoon, whenever it is in your day that you're catching this. I thought I would briefly describe calling in space for those that have a sheet, for those that don't have a sheet, for anyone that's interested in knowing a little bit more about the foundations of shamanism, whether it's right for you, whether you resonate with it. So I've drawn here my sacred geometry version of the medicine wheel. If you do extensive shamanic training, you embark on something called the medicine wheel. And that is, it's almost like the flow of life. So once you've journeyed around the medicine wheel once, you realise, oh, I've done this before, it's in my system. It's like the archetypal journey of life. It's the reason why we resonate with films, the reason why there is a structure to how we watch films and how it develops. Because there's an archetypal cycle to the human being, and it is such that is just how we move through life. It's cyclical. We are moving through our life, and if we reflect on what's happened in our life, usually we notice that there's a pattern, that we are falling into the same habits, behaviours, that we go for similar partners, that we meet similar challenges, that it's just the same cycle but slightly different every time. So the idea of this is to notice more our cycles, patterns, beliefs, behaviours, and start working with the archetypes on an energetic level so that we can more inform our day-to-day living. And any issues that come up, any fears that come up, any stresses that come up, when you meet a challenge in your life, you'll be able to relate it to one of these archetypes. And that's very helpful because you can then ask for help. We know then where we're going on the medicine wheel to ask for help. Then we know, I must be in the West. Let me go and call on Jaguar, for instance, and ask and get some help and get some guidance. So it's like we have a bit more control over our own movie and over our own lives, because it's no longer happening to us. We can then step into more of the created by us and have these archetypes running and speaking to and through you. So it's it gives you more of an understanding of life, the way people live, why certain things happen, and we see it mirrored in movies, that there is a clear script, a process and a cycle that's abided by in this universe. It happens all the time also in psychology, that Carl Jung talks about the collective unconscious and these archetypes that just are weaving through everyone, not just individuals. There's, as a collective, we have this wave of what's going on, and everyone is almost riding the same wave and also riding their own individual waves. That makes sense. So collectively we're on the medicine wheel, and individually we're on the medicine wheel. So you can relate it to a micro macro sense again, and it's like the wheel of life. So I also relate it to sacred geometry, the sacred geometry universe. And I don't know if anyone has seen the bubble test on any of the physics videos, but this guy blows a load of, children's bubbles. So they're not hard, they're all bubble, 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 bubble. And he blows so many individual bubbles, but then they all start overlapping. Because the material, the bubble is so thin, one can go slightly into the other can go slightly into the other, and they make the flower of life. This is all bubble, 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 bubble. And they can make any sacred geometry shape in existence. So every sacred geometry shape is made up of spheres. Everything can be made out of really a sphere and a cube. Every shape is made out of bubble, 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 bubble. So then you almost get onto the atom. And if the atom is now mostly space, but there is the tiniest piece of matter in an atom, but most of it is space. So we have almost the cube, let's say, is the hard, the actual matter, the substance, and most of the atom, the cyclical, is the space. It blows your mind the size of the sacred geometry, universe, the sacred geometry space. The one strand of hair, one tiny strand, you know how small that is? They're not lengthways, widthways. There's probably about 1 million atoms in a strand of your hair. And that is quite something for us to get our heads around. And the atom, there's 1 million atoms in one strand of hair, breadth-wise. And it's mostly space, the atom. So if we think about we're here in a physical universe, we're not really. It's just a lot of vibrating atoms. They're just so small, it gives the illusion of us being in a physical existence. But really, everything comes down to geometry. Everything is shapes and bubbles. You can start to see it when you're seeing energy and prana in thin air. You will see the little sparks dancing, and they're always dancing in mandalas, in sacred geometry shapes and patterns. And they do tests in science now with grains of sand. And if you've got water and grains of sand and you make it vibrate, the grains of sand will always be moving. Or if you look at it under a microscope, they're always moving in sacred geometry patterns. It's not random. It is always on the line of the shapes. So it's the computer code of the universe, essentially. So when we call in space, we're honouring the sacred geometry directions. So I call the body of God a cube, but it can be any sacred geometry shape. You know, the first atom was the triangle with the upside down triangle, which is called the Macabre. That could also be your shape in your mind for God, the body of God. But essentially, every single sacred geometry shape is a shape within a shape within a shape within a shape within a shape. So the multiverse is a cube within a cube within a cube within a cube within a cube. So you can use whatever resonates with you, but really any shape that comes through is going to be valid and telling you something anyway. So it's the cube, because we call in 4 directions, 1 direction, 2 direction, 3 direction, 4 direction, which are the 4 sides of the cube. And then we have the bottom, Pachamama, and the top, which is Mother Earth for the bottom, and the top is Father Sky, Inti Tai Tai, Father Sky. So the duality of the mother and the father, and then we have the personalities, the different sides of God on all 4 sides, and they're represented by animals. So that we can better understand the energies that reside in that direction. So in the south, you have serpent. And serpent, snake, is very much related to how you will feel about that animal. She slithers on the earth. She's always got her belly to the earth. She's calm, non-aggressive. And serpents eat their food whole. So this is all about digestion, and she likes to digest things slowly, take her time. And it's also about shedding. Snakes shed their entire skin. They bite out of the old skin, and then they grow out, they slither out, and then they leave their old skin behind. So this is about shedding the past, shedding all that no longer serves you, and digesting, sitting with things, shedding. Excuse the light. Then the West, we have Jaguar. And Jaguar is all about facing your fears. Jaguar is this big, powerful cat. And she doesn't waste any energy. She will be... she knows when to pounce on her prey, and she will just do one swipe and it's powerful, and the victim has no chance. So Jaguar is all about facing your fears, shadow work, moving through things that we're a little bit scared of, taking that big leap, just going, pouncing, taking that risk, and feeling okay in our fears. So this is what she helps you with. Hummingbird in the north is all about magic and joy, and spreading love, spreading lightness, and you've got lots of energy in the north, and you often don't really get things finished because Hummingbird is so quick that she'll flip between one thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and she gets lots of things done all at the same time, is very, very quick about it, but knows exactly where to come back to. So it's very, very energized. It will give you lots of life force, lots of energy. She is about finding your purpose, finding the meaning of life, finding your joy, finding your passion, finding your zone of genius. Where do I fire off all cylinders? Where's my thing? What's my soul-aligned purpose? So Hummingbird will help you get on track with your soul-aligned purpose, give you the energy, the motivation that you need to do so. This is also about ancestors. We do a lot of ancestral work in the north. The ancestors come in with Hummingbird as well. And then in the east we have eagle or condor. And this is the bird that the condor can fly as high as an aeroplane. It can fly thousands of feet higher than any other bird. So eagle is all about perspective. It's about pulling back from our usual day-to-day blinkered perspective and finding space consciousness, being able to awareness, noticing, and as well as having an eye here and having an eye here. So it's all about finding the most effective perspective, seeing things from a different angle, and being okay, flying above everything and just soaring with absolute ease. Nothing is a little bit difficult. Everything falls into place. Just seems like it's happening for you and you're just gliding along. It's a wonderful place to be, is in the east. Pachamama, the bottom, Mother Earth, is beautiful. I always think of plant medicine and Mother Ayahuasca, but or working with cacao, I see a pregnant woman with rainbow light just beaming off her. So this is again how I see the womb is rainbow energy, and that mother goddess that's always moving, that's always creative, that flows. So that is the honouring of our creative flow, of our feminine side. And then Inti Tai Tai is again the masculine, the lid of the container itself. And we are all of these, masculine and feminine, no matter which physical body you are in, we are all of these archetypes that we have within us. And then we also are pulling these archetypes in from the outside. So having the body of God and the multiverse come be with us. And these are energies that are used and have been used since the Inca times. So when shamans pray or anybody opens space, they are honouring these same animals. So the powers of these energies are very, very strong because everybody is doing the same thing, using the same animal archetype, and they have been grown into this force that now, thankfully, the carers have given us, the Masorites transitioned so that they're no longer kept up in the mountain, but it's their desire and their prophecy that they bring the Masorites down, and all of this energy then floods throughout the lands, and everybody is calling on these archetypes. So the more people that do it, the more powerful it is. It's done in the same way, the same archetypes. It's strengthening it. I like the analogy of making a mountain out of a molehill when you work with energy. And you know, when perhaps something's niggled at you or somebody's done something that's just a little bit annoying, that if you never thought about it again, you would just completely forget it and it would be nothing. But then you think about it again, or you tell somebody about it and they say, oh, well, that's not on. No. Oh, that would have really annoyed me. And then you think about it again, and then you think, oh yeah, well maybe that wasn't okay. And then you think about it some more, and then you get a little bit more pissed off about it, and then you tell somebody else, and then this molehill of emotion comes out of something that was maybe quite small in the first place. But if you keep thinking about it, you get more stressed and more stressed and more angry, and hey, and then there's this, and then there's this. And then we start adding more bits of information, like a detective going, oh, there's more evidence now, there's this and this and this, and this thing becomes huge. And then we are out of control with it. The same thing happens with calling in the directions and any kind of spiritual energy. The more it's done, the more power it gets. So every time you call in space, every time you build on that, you're doing the same thing as making a mountain out of a molehill for the negative, but in a positive sense. So you can build your power by calling in, and that is why you make a relationship with these energies, because then it strengthens. Then they start to work with you, and you then transition in your journey from hoping to work with the energies to being sure that the energies are working with you, because the power has grown so much. There's also a tweak and a bit of a technique that you can use in your journey to switch from imagination to knowing that you're getting metaphysical messages. I teach more thoroughly in the course that I'm going to do. So if you are interested in learning more about shamanism, interested in the power of the metaphysical realm, how do I really step into my mystical abilities? How do I start using this in my life to aid me, to aid others? Then put my webinar in your calendar. I will be doing, I'm hoping to keep it about 40 minutes, but a nice little webinar for everybody to give you more thorough information, do a little bit more teaching, and then for those that want to take it a little bit further can. That will be on the 4th of July, Saturday the 4th of July at about 1 o'clock. Not for very long, so hopefully you can all be there, and I really look forward to it. I'll put an event out and I'll be doing more information all about it, and I really look forward to seeing you there. Ubi-chan!